I am created with the capacity to hold this sorrow, and it really has shaped like so much of my life, and even my work with teen moms. I think I have to have a big capacity to hold a lot of stories, a lot of stories and a lot of sorrow.
I love that you use the word capacity, because that's what I talk about. Like many people who are listening are in like survival mode, right? They've hit that capacity limit and they just are surviving. And if we could learn how to hold the sorrow, or, you know, and I love that it came to you that was when you were your authentic self. I am so excited to interview Amanda here. Women out there helping other people, and women specifically, because you're working with teen moms who are now women because they've become a mom. So tell us who you are professionally and about your program.
Okay. I am the executive director at Hope House Canon City, which is an affiliate of Hope House, Colorado. And they've been doing this work for 20 plus years, and a few years ago I was a little bit on a journey because I was working with teen moms through Young Lives. I'd been working with them as a volunteer, just kind of walking alongside them for a number of years, and always felt like, I wish there was more for them, more support, more especially housing. And so I had connected with Hope House Colorado, and they were starting this affiliate program, and so I tentatively waded in, and then that sort of led to where we are today. So I started Hope House Canon City 3 years ago, serving teen moms. Our mission really is to empower parenting teen moms to grow in self-sufficiency, and then to understand their value in God's sight, and hopefully result in a healthy future for them and their children. So I've been doing
Tell us a little bit about like the story of most of the girls.
So I would say most of our girls come from a lot of chaos and a lot of trauma. And so that is definitely a factor. It's not always the case, but I think it is a lot for our girls, because the girls that I know who are teen moms who have great support and don't have chaos and don't have a lot of trauma, but just happen to be teen moms, they're able to like move through and get through it, and continue to be healthy and be healthy parents and all of that. But the ones that we tend to work with are a lot of girls who don't have that support for whatever reason. And so I would say that's where a lot of our moms come from. And so when they come to Hope House, one of the things we provide is a lot of structure, and that is hard. It's
when they come from chaos.
Yes, it's hard to get used to, but I think like there's a lot of times something in them that knows this is probably healthy, this is maybe how I want to parent. Even though it's hard, there's resistance sometimes, but like usually if they can sort of push through that resistance, then I feel like they are able to get to a different place where they can kind of build a life that they love instead of one of just surviving.
I talk about this a lot in the Mentally Strong Method, where trauma, the impact that it has on your decision making, your ability to move forward, the self-compassion that you have. So it's not just the support, it's the impact that their previous trauma had on them. How do you see that playing out?
Gosh, that's a good question. I think so. A lot of our girls have a very high level of self-blame, and so their trauma, the way that they internalize it is, well, I've gotten myself into this, and so so I feel like that plays out a lot in like they just they haven't had support, and they haven't had people in their life saying, hey, look what you just did. Good job doing that. And so there's not that positive talk, there's not anything saying, I'm proud of myself. Like there's no ability to be proud of themselves. And so I feel like that's one huge factor. I think it's also, there's one of the resistance that we get is that they have a like low ability to trust an agency. Agencies have often been involved in a lot of their trauma, and so for us to come in and say like, we're this program that wants to help you.
Well, share that a little bit, because our viewers might not know. I happen to know because I adopted 5 children from foster care system, and that's an agency that causes a lot of trauma. People don't realize an agency that's supposed to protect kids can cause trauma to children. Tell us a little bit more in detail how you've seen that in some of the stories, because I don't think our audience really realizes that agencies that are supposed to protect could actually be making things worse.
Yeah, I think there's, Department of Human Services, even though I think they're, like, you're right in saying they've caused a lot of trauma, and also even when they're trying to do good, it's still like just a hard thing for the moms to understand. Like they're always constantly worried about too many people involved in their business, because what if someone's watching, and what if you make a wrong move, and then
which goes back to the self-blame.
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
They don't trust themselves either.
Yes, exactly. And so, yeah, I think even when agencies are doing the best that they can do, there's just still some mistrust, because it feels transactional maybe to them.
Right.
Like, you do the right things, then you get good things. You do the wrong things, you get bad things. And so I feel like, we're constantly combating that at Hope House, and trying to, like, we had started this subscription box for moms, like a free subscription box, just to connect with them and get to know them, and to be like, we want to bring you gifts. And they're like, what's the angle? No. There's no angle. Like, we're just going to bring, if you get involved with us, great. If not, great. We just want to bring you some things. And so it just takes a long time to build that trust. And I mean, I would say we had some community moms that we were working with that, a full year before they were finally like, okay, maybe I'll come to your event, or maybe I'll meet with you and hear what you have to say, because it just takes that long. And so it takes what it takes.
Yeah.
So,
So what drew you into this? Would you consider it a ministry, a job, a calling? What would you say?
So my husband was working with Young Life. I don't know if you're familiar, but so he started Young Life in Canon City. It was like a ministry to adolescents, and really like teenagers who would never come to church, right? Just wanting to like walk alongside them, befriend them, be kind of a mentor. And so we had kids in our house all the time, teenagers, and I knew a couple of girls that I had gotten close to that got pregnant in high school, and then they disappeared. And I just was like, where did they go? Who's going to walk with them? What will happen? And they had dropped out of school or gone to online school or something. And so I just was like, what is there for these moms? And there really was not much. And so Young Life had just started a few years earlier, like a Young Lives ministry, which was just walking with teen moms. And I was like, well, that's perfect. Yeah. And so I started kind of trying to figure out, I was like, how many could there be in Canon City? Well, there was a lot. And so, but they were just hidden and very, very isolated. And so, and they didn't really fit. Like, they didn't fit with their peers anymore because they had kids, and they didn't fit with other young moms because they were teenagers. And so it was this like really weird space. And so we wanted to create just a place where they could belong. And so I started doing Young Lives, and was doing that for a dozen years probably. And this is where like I started connecting with Hope House and thinking, gosh, I wish there was more we could do, because we were just kind of walking alongside and being their friend, which was great. Right. But we were seeing all of these stories of moms like losing kids, or sleeping in their car, or just so many stories that I was like, oh, it didn't have to turn out this way. If and so
Hope House, what's the criteria to be able to use the residential program?
Yeah, so you have to be a parenting mom, so you have to have already had your baby. You have to have had that baby before you turn 20, so be a proper teen mom. Okay. And then, you can apply until you're 22. So that, does that make sense? Like, you can be 22, but
so the child would be like 3 years.
Yeah. And so, and then once a mom applies, then we can serve them until they're 25. But it's funny because there's so often where people will call and be like, well, I had my baby when I was 21, and I'm like, I want to say yes to everyone. And also, it is this very niche thing that those girls fall through the cracks, because there are residential homes for single moms, but not if they're teenagers. Right. And there are homes for teenagers, but not if they have babies. And so it's a very niche thing, but important. So
So tell us a little bit about you. And we teach mental strength. I love to hear women's stories of mental strength. When in your life have you felt like, gosh, I wish I had some more mental strength?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about this question because I knew you were going to ask this question. And I feel like, so I have kind of two answers.
Okay.
My first answer would be the season that I look back on the most and think, I wish I could have done that better, was when I first was married. Because I think I just didn't know who I was, and I think I felt really like I had spent like most of my growing up years trying to be what everyone else thought I should, and what
I think people can resonate with that.
Yeah, and what it felt like was good or best, or I mean, it was a good girl with good grades and all the things. And so I think I walked into my marriage like that. And it was a very difficult few years because I was battling with trying to figure out who I was. And my husband was like, I'm not sure you're who I thought you were. So,
right.
And luckily he was very gracious to me and was like, you need to figure this out. But I think there was just so much like, I mean, I just didn't know. And so I didn't even know how to be in marriage. So I say that, and then I would say, so then I feel like I went on a journey of trying to figure out, and that had its ups and downs. I remember once my husband said, I'm so happy that you're figuring out who you are. You're kind of mean. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I was very like, I like this and not this, and you're not going to,
Right.
But it felt like I had to draw this hard line, like I had to figure it out.
Because you've been people-pleasing all before.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. And he's like, maybe a little, maybe a little would be good. But, so yeah, and then I would say a few years ago, my mom went through early onset dementia, and I sunk into a place of such despair, and I didn't know how to, it was my first panic attacks that I had ever had, because I felt, I learned later that for me, panic attacks came because I felt very much like, I can't feel this right now, I can't have this feeling right now, I don't have time for this.
And your body was like, nope.
And my body was like, you will.
You will. Yeah.
And so, so I think like, that was a time when I felt like I wished I had more mental strength, but then I feel like in that process I got it. Like I got clarity.
Yeah. And tell us how do you feel like you did that?
Yeah. I think to be honest, like the reason why those things are connected is because what I learned about myself in those hard years of marriage is that I am a person who feels really deeply. And I think in the moments with my mom, or those years with my mom, I was sort of resisting that because it felt so overwhelming to me. And so I think once I finally decided I am created to be able to do this, I have the capacity to feel this sorrow and to like hold this and move through. I was like, oh, actually I don't have to be like overwhelmed by this. I can just let it be. And so I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, it makes sense, and I can actually fit it into the Mentally Strong method, right? Like we oftentimes the feeling of overwhelm and despair is this enmeshment of everything. And I teach like to separate the grief from the trauma, from the negative talks, from the anxiety. And in grief, we don't know how to grieve. And when you just said it right there, I stepped into it and allowed myself to feel the sorrow. We live in a world where we're like, we're not supposed to feel pain, or we're supposed to go through it like 5 stages of grief, which isn't true. But that's a whole nother lecture, right? Like you said it beautifully. Like I stepped into just feeling the sorrow. How is she today?
My mom passed away, and so. And actually, like I do feel like I was able to be in it with her. I think like it was hard on my family, hard on my dad especially, and I have 2 sisters. I'm the middle. It's funny how like in those moments you sort of each take your role, and I think like for my dad, I was able to be the person he could feel with, and just express his grief and stuff. And so I feel like we walked through and honored my mom well in the midst of it. But it was hard. It was it's such a terrible disease, and something that steals a person before they're actually gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, the beautiful thing for me was that when my mom passed away, I felt like I got back the memories of her from when she was, you know, more her normal self. And I think it had been so many years of just paranoia and hallucinations and confusion and anger and all those things that...
What time period was that? How many years?
So it was probably 5 years that she, was struggling with all of that.
Yeah.
And so, so it was hard, like, going through it. And then once she passed away, I thought, I can remember my mom, like how she was before. And so, it was hard, but...
Yeah, my husband, the same thing. He, you know, most of his symptoms were dementia-type symptoms.
Yeah.
And then I felt like guilt for feeling relief. But then, you know, and then so you know, continuing to work through that. And that's what I say, like untangling those pieces so that you can feel the grief separately.
Yeah. So funny, one of the things I thought about was so helpful during that time is that our church started a lament service. I had never heard of that happening. Although, like, I had been learning, like, thinking about how much of Scripture is lament. You know, there's so much.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy to me that we think, we can't do that, or we can't go there, or whatever. that faith is supposed to be very, like, everything's good, you know. And so but my church started, it was, like, right around the time of COVID, and they were like, man, we want to gather separate, you know, like in mass or whatever, and do this lament service and really, like, cry out. And I had never had a place for that in my faith, and so that was really helpful. Yeah. And then recently, just a few months ago, someone said, I was doing this exercise, and someone said, think of a time when you felt the most yourself, like you felt the most like, this is who I am. And immediately the stuff with my mom popped up, and I was like, well, I don't want that to be who I am. No. But you know, just in terms of, like, all the grief, but I thought, no, I am created with a capacity to hold this sorrow, and it really has shaped, like, so much of my life, and even my work with teen moms. I think I have to have a big capacity to hold a lot of stories, a lot of stories, and a lot of sorrow.
I love that you use the word capacity, because that's what I talk about. Like, many people who are listening are in, like, survival mode, right? They've hit that capacity limit, and they just are surviving. And if we could learn how to hold the sorrow, or, you know, and I love that it came to you that was when you were your authentic self, when you were in that deep pain, which is not how you want to define yourself, right? But being able to reframe that around capacity. Like, I went through that. I know how to feel this kind of pain, and so I know how to hold it for other people too.
Yeah, and I think you have a greater sense too of, like, I am crushed, but I'm not abandoned, or I'm not
broken. Yeah. So, we're not broken. We're not here to be fixed, which is my narrative. I'm always trying to fix something. Yeah. So I have to, like, tell myself over and no, you don't have to fix yourself, right? Yeah. You can just be. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So one of the things that I talk about a lot in the Mentally Strong Method is, like, our upbringing, things that happened in our childhood, how it impacts us, and how we show up today. Tell us a little bit about those things for you.
Yeah, so I've talked a little bit. I mean, I had an amazing family, super supportive, but I think also I was growing up in a time in the 90s where we didn't talk a lot about pain or how to make it through. And I was a person who felt big feelings, and I didn't always have a category for how to do that or what to do with that. And so I think I sort of focused on what I could control, which was my academic performance, how I was perceived, like all of those kinds of things. And so even though I had amazing parents and a supportive family and a church body and all those things, I think I still, like, I ended up in this place of not really knowing who I was, because I was like, well, I can't be the big feelings girl because that feels chaotic and whatever. And so I'll just be this way. And I mean, I don't know. It worked out in that I got good grades, like that worked out, but I ended up sort of abandoning, like, my true self along the way, if that makes sense, and having to then
No, I
figure it
see
out.
that as a theme or a pattern.
Mhm.
And when we do thought maps, that's what we kind of get out, is we get out these patterns of like, you were a people pleaser, and authenticity,
Yeah.
you had to grow into that. You had to go through this journey to, you know, be authentic, know how to feel these big feelings. I remember when I was growing up, you know, told like, you know, oh, you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, you're difficult, you know, all of those things. But really, I'm just an empath.
Yeah. Well, and then it still pops up, right? The people pleasing. I mean, I'm in a nonprofit, so I answer to donors. And so I sometimes want to be like, well, what do I say that will please them? And I've had to just be like, no, like I just need to walk in what's the truth. And I know that what I'm doing is important work. And so people can like understand that or not, and that's fine. And I think, I mean, I've told so many people I could never have done what I'm doing with Hope House 15 years ago, because I would have done it from such a results-based place. Success, here's the measurable results. And I mean, when you're working with people, teenagers, teen moms, like the measurable results are hard. And so you can't always see.
They have a home, they're alive, the kids are fed. That's the measurables,
And also they'll be headed down an amazing path, and you're like, yes, we're doing it. And then they jump ship, and you're like, okay, well, I guess we're. So, I mean, I think sometimes, that's hard. And I think I would have definitely come at it from a totally different place. And now I get to come at it from a place of like, I know what I bring to the table. And if there's fruit, then there is. And if there's not, like we're still working, and we're still doing the thing. And so, so it's just, I feel like I come at it from a really different place than I would have. So, And
so you've shared a little bit, but how does your faith like show up for you, help you through your mental strength?
Well, I think a huge part of it is that I am created to be the way I am created to be. And that doesn't mean that we don't grow and change and get stronger and all that. Like, we don't ever get to be, my husband, like, he hates personality tests and stuff because he's like, I don't want to be pigeonholed. And he thinks people use it as an excuse, right? So, well, this is the way I am. So it's not that, but it is this idea that, like, I am created uniquely by God. And so I think to not live into that is to sort of reject the way he's made me. And so I think that plays a big role. I also think
authenticity is definitely the pattern for you.
And then I think the other thing is I just understand that I'm a needy person. Like I think like maybe without faith, we think, okay, I'm on my own and I can do all the things. And I just see myself as a finite, needy person, you know, like I need God and I need grace. And so I think that helps me stay grounded and stay humble and
Well, we've talked about almost like from beginning of life to end of life in your story, right? You're working with teen moms who are bringing new babies into a, you know, chaotic situation, and you're helping kind of in the beginning of life. And then your most authentic time was in the end of your life for your mom. In that journey of authenticity. How would you wrap that all together? And, you know, someone listening now, wherever they are, if they're struggling with authenticity, like, you know, whether it be young in their life or towards the end.
You have to give me a minute. I mean, one of the common threads is that we need other people. And so I love that. Ding, 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 ding. So we say, like, in Hope House, like, our mission statement is about self-sufficiency. I always struggle a little bit with that word because none of us we're not created to be self-sufficient. We need community, we need other people. And I know what we mean by that is you're able to find all the support that you need. And so we need other people to come alongside. And even when we're able to provide for ourselves and all of those things, we still need people. We need mirrors to reflect back to us how we are perceived, like all of that. We need community. And so I think, like, to me, the tie together was like in the stuff with my mom, like I needed people to buoy me and support me through that journey. And also she needed people, and my dad needed each of us girls in different ways. And so I think...
No, I love that. That's,
I think it's
perfect.
I think community is like, it's such a thread in my life, and something I feel like is has been so important. To have people around and to really be vulnerable and authentic. I think we can't have real community without
real
that,
vulnerability.
Without that vulnerability. And so,
well, and you even said it in your own story of like, use the word needy, which I would challenge, right?
Sure.
Like, but like that's who I am. I'm sensitive. I have big emotions. I want people in my life, and like owning that. So you know, these themes of authenticity, and I think oftentimes we're scared to own some of those things because the world says, and I'm probably even guilty of it too, because in the Mentally Strong Method I teach self-agency, right? Like you can do this, but we really can't do life without others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's better.
Yeah.
At least it's better.
It is better.
Yeah.
All right. So last question is, what are you currently learning? Where's your journey going now?
Yeah. I think I'm learning a lot about building capacity a little bit. I think when I first started our nonprofit, I was like, oh, how am I going to do this? I'm not a numbers person. I'm not like a girl boss person. Like I'm a more quiet leader. Like I think I felt like this is what it means to be an executive director, is you have to have this personality and this kind of, and I struggled for a long time, even starting with Hope House, because I just was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm that person. And I think what I've learned along the way is things I even said, I'm not a numbers person, or I don't want to do this piece of it. I actually enjoy that piece of it, because I think it balances the heavy relational, feeling, emotional side of what we do at Hope House for me to go, I'm going to go to my office and like build the budget, you know? And so, so even like I'm growing in that capacity, and like grant writing and different things like that I think are very structured and straightforward. Numbers don't have emotions, and they don't they don't lie. And so so I think just things that I thought, okay, that's not my natural bent or gifting, that I go, oh, but that can actually benefit me and is something I can, you know, grow into. So
Awesome.
Fun. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Tell us your website, you know, how to become a partner, those kinds of things.
Yeah. Our website is hopehousecanyonscity.org. And there's lots of ways to partner. Like we have a good volunteer team that helps with a lot of things. And then there's ways to give on that website as well. But yeah, it's just fun. We're having fun doing what we're doing. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.